Hi, hello, I'm Drake, and welcome to a day on Dartmoor. And today, what we're going to do is plant out. So, we're planting some seeds that have been growing over the last few weeks, have now grown into a decent sized plant to actually put outside. And I've got a nice growing frame here which I planted last year. It's from some of our hazel and willow that we have growing elsewhere on the small holding. And I'm not sure if you can quite see it, but here is a little bit of growth because one of the things with willows is it has a tendency to start growing roots wherever you put it. So I don't mind that. The plants, actually, what I will do, I'll leave this year, but in the autumn I'll actually dig that out and I'll transplant it down in the woods and just simply have it as another living tree that will be a wonderful asset to the small holding. Anyway, so as for planting out, so what I've got here is this soil has been, it's been worked over the years, and it's good enough for me to plant straight into. I'm also planting out plants which have got quite large pots, so there's quite a decent amount of compost already in them. So my feeling at the moment is that they don't really need much feed, so that what they just need to do is be outdoors. And here we have a sunflower, and we have runner beans, and we've already got, I planted these out last week, some sweet peas. And what I'm doing is I quite often like planting things out in threes, and I think that for me it's a sacred number. It's a great number, three. Put three of anything together, and they're going to work well in my mind. And the idea of putting these particular plants together is that I believe they complement each other really well, and it's a bit like companion planting. You put things together that are going to work well together. And so the sunflower is something that will certainly provide extra structure to the other two plants for them to grow up, and both the the runner bean and the sweet pea also have wonderful flowers. The sweet pea has a wonderful scent, which is an asset to any garden as a human being, because we enjoy a lovely scent. They provide cut flowers, of course, as well. And the runner bean, of course, is great because it's providing food for me. And the other thing that's quite nice about putting all of these things together is they'll all attract insects, and slightly different insects. And together they actually make up a kind of hub, if you like, for insects to come to. And so I think they'll do really, really well. And the other thing with the sunflower is what I often do is I leave them out, and I leave them over the autumn and let birds come and collect the seeds from them as well. So it all works really well. And to me, this is a bit about mimicking nature. This is mimicking the wild, if you like. And if you notice, the way plants often grow is they grow in a kind of, it seems like chaos. If you go and look at a hedgerow, for example, you might see bramble, which is growing with wild roses, which is growing with, maybe bindweed is in there as well, and they're growing amongst trees and shrubs. And there's a whole bunch of things going on there. And they're not that they're so much competing with each other as in collaboration with each other to maximize the well-being of each of them, maximizes the well-being of all of them. So this is the approach I really take inspiration from in the way I plant. So we're going to put these fellows in, and they're all going to be about a hand's width away from each other. They don't need to be any further than that. The soil is good enough to be able to carry that number of plants and for them all to be able to get decent nutrition. So what we'll do is I'll just get my garden fork, and I'm going to put in the sunflower first. So I'll just get this cleared out, and what I'm doing, I'm digging down deep enough that the soil level in the pot is going to be exactly the same as the soil level on the ground. I don't know if you can see that, the soil level on the ground. You don't want to be planting it too deep that it's getting buried under soil. the actual stem itself, and you don't want it so shallow that it's standing proud of the soil level, because that really, yeah, that doesn't work to the plant's advantage. So we'll just quickly tap that out. As you can see, it's got a wonderful root system that's already developing there. So we'll just flip that round and pop this fellow in. Now, these are quite young and they'll get blown around a bit and bend, and they could break. And so it's useful to have a little bit of a growing frame for them. If you don't have a growing frame, then you can just put a cane in there, as a hazel rod in there, or a willow rod, just to give it a little bit of support till it gets going and it's tough enough to perhaps stand on it of its own accord. You've got to remember that if you are also planting out like I am with other climbers, they're going to be climbing onto this plant, so it will be taking additional pressure, if you like, especially on a windy day, in which case I would recommend most definitely having some kind of support for this plant. So we just firm that in, firm it from the sides as well as the top, so that's good enough. And that's your sunflower. And the same with the runner bean. I'm just going to put that next door to this fellow. Dig about the same amount out. Tip this out to see how this one's doing. Again, perfect. The root system is just enough to get going. Slip that in there. Fill in. And that, my friends, is that. And I'm going to do this all the way along here. I've got about a 3 meter of frame here that I'm going to plant, and it's all going to be interdispersed the same way. You'll notice I've got lots of other things going on here. I've got a small birch sapling growing here. We've got fennel growing back here. I've got garlic growing here. So there's a lot of stuff which is in close proximity, and I've also got, I just noticed, lots of little nasturtiums that are just starting to come up from last year, the seeds that fell into the soil. And I'll let the nasturtiums roll around all over the ground here. They're wonderful nasturtiums. Have them if you can get them. Apart from them being edible, you can eat the flowers and the leaves in salads, and they're wonderful. But they also give great ground cover, so they keep the moisture in if you are in particularly dry conditions. Nasturtiums are really fine with poor nutrition, so they're tough old plants and they're very rewarding. So there's an additional kind of tip there with growing nasturtiums. So that's it really, planting out in threes and planting out to in mutual support and collaboration. And that's really it for today from me, and I thank you very much for you lending me your time. Hope you have a really great day, and hey, the sun is out. Well, hey, I look forward to speaking.